Even in the middle of August, that water is cold. Now, see, this is the thing. I pretend I am standing in cold water just for you. I'm doing this. This is Dorothy Wilhelm, and this is Swimming Upstream Radio Show. The idea is, I used to put on a bathing suit and actually swim upstream, but I don't do that anymore. What I do is to introduce you to people that you couldn't meet anywhere else, and that you'll be glad you know. Now, today's special guest is Cathy Fyock, and now look here, Cathy, she is the Business Book Strategist. She works with professionals and thought leaders who want to write a nonfiction book. You know, I didn't realize it was nonfiction, about their expertise as a business development strategy. She is the author of 12 books. I don't think I can talk to you, including, I'm very generous, including On Your Mark, from first word to first draft in 6 weeks. Blog to book, I like that. Repurposing content to discover the book you've already written. Now, see, that's pretty intellectual for me. My new book, and that her new book, and with co-author Lois Creamer, the speaker author, sell more books and book more speeches. Her book, my gosh, her book, I just wanted a paragraph, honey. Her book, Authority, is an anthology about the power of authorship and was a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Her newest book is Writer Crisis Hotline, co-authored with full-time author Allie Pleiter.
Mm-hmm.
Close. But since beginning her business in 2014, she has helped over 250 professionals become published authored. Could you name any one of them if you?
Well, Danielle's number 250, so I remember her.
Well, I should think so. Cathy believes we all have a purpose, me too, and that our stories are the way in which we share our truth with others. She is certain that, now, why should I tell them this about you? What is it that you are certain of? Authors can and do
change the world one word at a time.
Change the world one word at a time. And this isn't all. This is nearly all, but this isn't all, because you've got to know that in addition to all these books and everything, I'm sure her mother is very proud of her, that when she was in grade school, Diane Sawyer's mother was her third grade teacher. That's pretty good.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
She loves retail therapy. Why do you love retail therapy?
Shopping is fun.
And this was a thing, and I think we often find out that we have in common. She's an active member of the National Speakers Association and has been the referral champ for 3 years. What is the referral champ? I don't know that we had that.
So yes, if you refer someone and they become a national member, then that's a point for your on your score. And the most folks that you refer, then there is a prize. And usually it's a free registration at the annual convention, which is a fabulous prize. So yeah, I've won that three different years.
Well, that's excellent. I have been a member since 1983. I'm a legacy member, so I don't have to pay anymore. And so that does happen after a while. It's very good. Now, enough about me. Let's talk about you. Tell me, in the first place, what made you think you ought to do this thing with the books? How did you get to be a book strategist?
Well, it's interesting because I never would have guessed 20 years ago that this is what I would be doing, but I'm doing it now and I'm absolutely loving it. It's really the work that I've been preparing for my entire life. But it happened now almost 13 years ago. I got a call from my chapter of the National Speakers Association. And the president said, Cathy, I heard a rumor that you wrote one of your books in less than 6 weeks. And I said, well, actually, yes, I'd written 4 of my 5 books in less than 6 weeks. And he said, that is amazing. Do you have a process? And I thought for a minute and I thought, yeah, I guess I do have a process. He said, would you be willing to give a program for a chapter on your process? And I said, oh, I'd love to. He said, but wait, before you say yes, we have a couple of our chapter members who are working on their books. Would you be willing to coach them using your process and then give a program? And I said, absolutely. That sounds like so much fun. I know it works for me. I don't know that it works for anyone else. So I started working with these two women who were members, and very quickly they each said to me, have you ever thought about being a book coach? I thought, no, I don't even know if there is such a thing. And is there a need? And they assured me there was. So we finished our coaching project. I gave my program for the chapter. And once again, I've been a member for so many years. My friends came up to me and said, have you ever thought about being a book coach? So this is when it really struck me that this is what I needed to do. So that was in the spring of 2013. And by January, I launched my new business as a book coach.
And never looked back, as you say.
Never looked back.
But what do you know now, though, that you didn't know then?
Well, I know that initially I gave folks a full year to write their book, and I found that that was too much time, that people procrastinated and put it off. So my 1-year program is now a 6-month program. A few of my authors have written their books in 6 weeks, but it's rare because you have to be really super focused, I would say hyper focused, and really determined to get it done. And very few people are as determined as I've been. But that's one thing I've learned. I've also learned that it's really critical to begin with a strong structural underpinning, a strategic underpinning that links your book to your business. If you are writing a book to grow your business, to become, better known as a speaker or consultant or coach, then it's really important that you define in advance what you want your book to accomplish so that your book can do the work for you.
Have you found it possible for your clients, that I imagine you have, who hadn't been able to get a book going, suddenly they're able to bring them out and that they hit the mark, they hit where they wanted?
Yes, 250 plus have hit the mark. Now, there are some that still don't finish, I have to say. It's a small percentage, but there are some people who just don't do the work. There are others that hit this wall and they feel like they can't reveal themselves. They feel that publishing their book is far too vulnerable a position to be in, which is interesting to me. Even in writing a nonfiction book about your expertise, you wouldn't think there'd be this much resistance, but there is. And many times that's what I have to focus when I'm working and coaching with authors. It's not so much about the process of writing, it's overcoming the head trash that's going on about you're not good enough to be a writer. Who do you know? What do you know about this topic? There are plenty of other people that could write this book.
Much better, yeah. And I think there is that feeling that if I write this, then people will know. They will know.
Oh, yes. And that was exactly the journey that I went on for writing my first book. That's the reason my first book took far longer than 6 weeks. I was writing it on the aging workforce, as a matter of fact. And there was no other book on the aging workforce at that point in time. And I couldn't get started writing it. And I'm a very take charge, get it done kind of a person.
I got that.
But I couldn't get started. And I realized that I was really resisting. And finally, it occurred to me that I was deeply afraid that I was going to be found out as an imposter, that people were going to know how little I knew about the subject. And my book was documenting my incompetence. And once I had that realization, I was able to move forward and get it written. But boy, that's a big obstacle to overcome.
Well, it not only is, I think it's almost unavoidable. I think especially a first-time author, I think it's real hard to write that first book without.
It is. It
Without.
is. Well, in fact, my colleague, Allie Pleiter, we do a lot of workshops and programs together. She's written over 70 titles now, and she finds that she gets a visit from her negative voice for every single book.
I'm sure of it. Well, you know,
And she has to overcome that negative voice each and every time.
I notice that under your name on your letters underneath you, it says Writer's Crisis Hotline. Does that help with the negative voice? Or?
Yes, well, it's the book, the most recent book that Allie and I wrote. It's called Writer Crisis Hotline, because we found that every writer experiences at some point in the journey a real crisis, and they need a hotline. So this book was written sort of in a Dear Abby style, from different imaginary but very real kinds of writers who are having different problems in writing, and we address those in a Dear Abby style. So the writer writes in and then we respond. So sometimes the problem is I don't have enough time, or I can't get focused, or I have too many books that I want to write, or I keep hearing this negative voice in my head. So we have responses for each of those different crises, and we respond to those in our book.
Well, would you say that that's the most common problem that you hear about?
Yes, probably. Now, what's interesting is it's not the one that people vocalize the most. Initially, it's like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
That's busy professionals, busy consultants, coaches, speakers. They think that's the biggest issue. But once we get started, I help them understand that sometimes writing in short time bursts is their best tool for writing effectively and creatively. And they may be giving themselves too much time. It's overcoming the head trash that's really the issue at stake here.
You know what I've always given, I help some young writers write, and they aren't speaking to me anymore mostly. But anyway.
Why is that, Dorothy?
I'll tell you another time. Anyway, seriously, what I always tell, because I'm really not a coach, so I can get them started, but I don't go anywhere with them. But anyway, I always tell people, they say, well, I have to plan the whole book and I have to, get everything all ready. And I say, nope, sit down and write for 20 minutes. And at the end of 20 minutes, quit writing. And you will, by tomorrow, be awash with things you want to say. And I find that helps a lot. But I'm not maybe I am. I could be a strategist. Doesn't seem like, but then that job's already taken. So,
That's right. That's right.
So now, here you've been doing this, how long, 20 years?
No, just 12 years.
Oh, poof. So, well, we have fun. The one thing I'm so lucky about is, I'm almost 92. Do you know that you can have a lot of fun at 92? And you can write a book, and you can call people almost anything you want to, and they don't know what to do about it. Do you know what?
Absolutely. Well, I know I started my business when I was 60. So I'm 71 right now, and I still think I have another book or so inside me. So
well, you better have 3 kids older than that. Mother. But now let's see, seriously, because this is great. There's so much material here. And I think for some reason, everybody feels like, or really does, have a book, because we learn things as we go and as we grow. And I run into so many people who are, well, no, I wouldn't be, kind of almost like I'm not worthy, which is ridiculous, But
it is ridiculous, because there's probably someone, probably the younger version of you could benefit from hearing about your book. you know, and so a lot of times that's what I do is I help my writers understand that they're writing for the younger version of themselves. And that all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they're able to write pretty quickly.
Well, and I think the other thing is that there's so much more to it than just writing. I started writing, my husband died almost on his 50th birthday. So now all of a sudden I had to completely reinvent myself. And so what it was to go to work for broadcast and newspapers, because I can, as you can see, it's pretty hard to get me to shut up.
But you have a gift. You have a gift, Dorothy.
Well, I think I do, and I think we all do. Don't you think the whole thing is, a lot of people don't realize they have a gift, and a lot of people, for instance, now this is just a little bit out of your thing, but I have 6 kids. How's that for enthusiasm? Wow. And I had a certain enthusiasm for the process, you know. Anyway, but my youngest, they all are doing good and interesting things. But my youngest daughter, who was 6 years old when her daddy died, is a ventriloquist. And she's very good. She plays all over the country. And who could know? But that's a gift. It's a gift.
It is.
And I think when you realize that you have a gift, I don't care if you haven't found it yet, you must find it. You must, in fact, kind of take the dust mop and go under the bed and look and see. But I think in these perilous times, if we would all use our gifts, we might make a little progress. So given that, let us have your wise advice. Give me advice you used to give that you don't give anymore. And give me how we can make retail therapy work for writers.
Oh, gosh. So what advice did I used to give that I don't give anymore?
Or you may have modified.
Yes, that I may have modified. I think originally I used to think you had to have the whole book in your head. Yeah. And now I don't think that's, as you've kind of alluded to, I think some people need to unlock the key. You know, they need to find that that piece that unlocks the puzzle for them. And but I do think that starting with at least a rough outline and then modifying the outline as you go along is really important. So that's maybe what I've modified in my advice. And then what was the other question was on my retail therapy?
Tell me about retail therapy and a writer. But I got out of it, and I'll let you talk in a second. But I think maybe sometimes you break off from what you're doing. I mean, maybe it isn't going right, and it isn't going right. Instead of continuing to not go right, you could do something different, like retail therapy, if that's what does it for you. For me,
that's right.
Yeah. But now, over your tastefully gowned shoulder, there is a plaque with my name on it. Don't think I'm not thrilled. And that means that now you've got to say whatever, you know. I will tell people this interview will be available in full anytime. You can send it to your mother. You can, just anything at all. But what should I have asked you that I haven't asked you?
Well, I'd love to mention the fact that I have some workshops and programs coming up. Yes. So I'm Allie Pleiter, and I have a Finish Your Book, a 6-week program coming up that's going to be starting in September. And we usually do 1 or 2 of these every year. You can get information on my website at cathyfyock.com. Also, I'm doing a book proposal workshop with Susan Friedman and Allie Pleiter. And then every other month, Allie and I have started hosting a brilliant idea pitch fest that allows folks who have a great idea and they'd like to test it out and see if it has legs. So we have an opportunity for folks to give their pitch, and then we vote. Everybody who's on the call gets a chance to give their opinions and give some feedback about what it needs to be stronger so that it is something that can be turned into a book.
Do you find that they get good advice? Do they give each other good advice that way?
Absolutely. We set the criteria, though, in advance. So we talk about what makes a good idea, what makes it a good idea for that person, because there are some good ideas, but it may take you away from your business or what you love, or it may be just something one-off that's not going to really serve you. So those are some of the things that we look at. So there are lots of good ideas, but it has to be a good idea for the individual and for their business.
Is there a book you haven't gotten around to writing yet that you wanted to? It's in the back of your mind.
Well, every time we talk about that negative voice in your head, I think that even though there have been other books and other papers and blogs written on all of that, I think that it deserves some attention. So that might be what I do next.
Do you ever think of doing anything, because you've done entirely, it looks like, nonfiction? Do you ever think of writing anything else, or would you just rather die?
Well, I would love to figure out how to write a great novel. I'm a big reader. I love to read. And with Allie as my partner, of course, she writes novels all the time. So I keep thinking if I ever slow down a little bit with my nonfiction book coaching, I might have her coach me on some fiction writing.
So often I tell people, in fact, I have a son who has, you'll love this one, kid. He has translated the Greek poem Theogony into Latin. Why, you may ask? I don't know. And why, what my thought was, well, why not go ahead and translate it to English too, but no, he knows better than I do. But now I said, then what you're going to have to do, if that's right, if that's it, then we're going to have to brainstorm. It's more, it takes more ideas than we've got. And it takes more information than we've got. And I think sometimes you have to reach out. This is just my thought. You may not believe, you may not agree. I don't recommend it. But then, so I think for all of us, this is a time of great possibility. What do you think?
I do. I think the time is right for authors. It's time for us to write our stories and to help others along the way by sharing what we've learned.
So tell me, do you have a club and people get to be members? And if you don't, you should. And how do we do that?
Well, you can come to my website, cathyfyock.com, and or you can send me an email at cathy@cathyfyock.com, and I'd love to add you onto my mailing list. I have regular programs, many of which are free, so I'd love to add you to my community.
That is really delightful, and I hope everybody will do it. Me too. And there's so much we can do. I keep thinking the answer is, it's like the old song, the answer is blowing in the wind. Yeah, the answer is there somewhere, though, so we can do that.
Yes, it is.
So I know that when I send in my little name, you will remember me. But we had a little bargain coming in. I was going to give you a chance to say one word in favor of AI. Make it short, kid.
I think that AI is an important tool that people who write, who develop content for a living, should be playing with it, exploring it, and understanding what it can do and what it cannot do. It needs to be used with caution and with kid gloves.
Kid gloves would be good. Okay, Cathy Fyock, it has been delightful to have you here. Let's just see what we can cook up. You simply never know what can happen. So this will be good. I will expect to hear from you from time to time. And
absolutely.
It's been a lot of fun. And this has been a feature of the SOB radio network. SOB stands for Spunky Old Broads. And all of the hosts are women over 50. And thank you, Cathy. Thank you, Jason.